Hello and welcome back. On the last time, have I always said it that way? Well, anyway, last time, we accused Monkey of being the mastermind behind this. So, after a couple of tries, naturally, but apparently she confessed, well, she has confessed to it, saying she will mark it as correct, or assess it as correct. And we cut off just before the explanation of what was going on, so really that's what this is. This is answers for why she did this. Apparently she was working with Rooster, the Rooster who killed killed Amadeus Bone and framed Aaron Morris. And yeah, really, I feel justified for not liking him. But he was a well-written character. I like that about him. And yeah. Anyway, now where to begin? Presumably at the start. I suppose it started with my childhood. This will seem irrelevant, but trust me, the full story is somewhat warranted in understanding my perspective. So then, when I was a young child, I learned that my brain had a defect. I didn't experience emotions in the same way other people did. That is to say, I had difficulties experiencing emotion in the first place. I learned pretty quickly that my reactions weren't like the others. That I was viewed differently than the others. To remedy that, I got better at leaving my emotions on all the time. For a time, that was perfectly suitable. It was to blend in, more or less. However, that was just one aspect of my life. The problem came with my parents. My incredibly overbearing parents. My parents who controlled every aspect of my life. You could be more generous and say they worried about my life, since my brain worked so differently. But I know that no matter what, they would have acted the same way they did. That's just who they were. I know now that that's simply how things were. They were like that through forces beyond their control. The end product of it all was that I lived an extremely controlled life, devoid of much freedom or autonomy at all. Luckily for me and them, I turned out to be something of a prodigy. I chalked it up to the side effect of my unique brain chemistry. When I finally went off to college, it felt like I finally breathed fresh air. Unfortunately, that didn't last for too long. Very soon after getting there, I found myself in a relationship with a rather despicable man. Didn't paint you as the type to go for despicable men. Certainly, from the outside, he seemed a suitable partner. However, he was by most merits what one would consider an abusive boyfriend. Ouch. Incredibly controlling. Our relationship was was anything but healthy. However, at the time, I wasn't able to see things clearly. I wasn't mature enough. And I'd gotten rather good at keeping my emotions on all the time, which also colored things. We went out for a time. He eventually broke up with me. I was too emotional. Having rather thoroughly opened myself up, the blow came like a dagger. That was the first time in my life that I learned what it was like to really feel upset. Needless to say, I was not in a good state. And then, at that time, I had a rather fateful encounter with Rooster. Hey, you alright? Really? Really? Is this like a romance story between you two? If it is, god damn it. Because you kind of look like crap. Right at my lowest point, I met Rooster. If that's your backstory, it's already tragic enough. He wasn't exactly the most reassuring person in the world, but it's clear he tried. Seriously? That guy seems like a total douchebag. The type that needs to take a little walk down a long pier. It's not how the saying goes. Sayings are like species. They evolve over time. I suppose, yeah, that's arguable. Anyways, look at it like this. You're finally free. Free? Yeah. You've got no constrictions anymore. You can do whatever you want to. All your passions unfettered. Well, now I just... Don't make Rooster the hero, so now that when Monkey reveals that you killed him, I can feel sad for him. Don't do that. That's an insult to me. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. That's a way of looking at things. It's the only way of looking at things. Take me, for instance. I'm going to be a famous actor one day. You're going to die in a death game one day. That's just a fact. But if I was stuck answering to boring people all the time who didn't know what they were talking about, I wouldn't reach my goal until I was like an old man or something. Don't get me wrong. There can be some kick-ass roles for old men. True. That's true. Like Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, people like them. But that's a lot more of a niche market. They're more often mentor figures or something. Am I making myself clear here? In a way, yes. Talking with him actually helped me quite a bit. No, I don't like this story. It recalibrated me, as it were. From there, I got my priorities in check. Firstly, I learned from this whole experience that it was far preferable to keep my emotions squarely turned off. Was it squarely or securely? Squarely. I also decided that Rooster was right. I needed to find a direction in life. Something I actually aspired towards. I started with studying psychology. After all, the way the brain worked had always fascinated me. Since mine didn't quite work the same way as everyone else's, it did take long for me to get a handle on things. Once you read through the literature on the subject, you get the gist of things pretty quickly. Humans are a lot simpler than people like to admit. What do you mean? We're the dumbest people alive. That's why we're at the top, because we're too stupid to stop. You hear often about people doing illogical things when they're emotional. That you couldn't count on people to act in the way you expected when feelings are involved. Yep. But that's a reductionist point of view. Human behavior is actually incredibly methodical and predictable. Yes, isn't that the same thing? I'm confused by this argument that she's making. It's just that the logic that it operates on isn't as straightforward or as universal as most types of logic. Yes. Each brain's logic is its own world. Yes, again. Everyone is different, but no one is unique. I'm pretty sure that's what they're trying to say. But most of these logics resemble each other. You can learn the patterns without too much work. Yeah, see, everyone's different, but no one's unique. Eventually, I became a therapist. It wasn't hard. I had a serviceable life. But it felt as though I was missing something. There was some emptiness to it all, like going through the motions. Until years later, I met Rooster again. He was doing worse. He was doing worse than when I had met him last. But perhaps that's to be expected. Before, he was a youth with dreams. After he'd gone through a few flagging years. But he was far from giving up, not even close. He felt that they needed to reconnect, so I accommodated him. As I got to know more about him, I realized, despite initial appearances, he was worthwhile. Don't compliment Rooster. He was a lot more clever than he first appeared to be. True, he had a certain type of charisma, unfortunately, and he was the son of a rather rich family. I guess. Most importantly, watching his actions, it was clear he actually had real talent. With what? He might not have made it big, but it was a matter of time before his career picked up, especially for someone as passionate as him. And so I thought he would be worthwhile keeping around in the long term. Dealing with someone as simplistic as him, it was remarkably easy to make him loyal. Puppeteering. Okay. Once he truly fell in love, though, and once I had convinced him... Wait, what? Once he truly fell in love, though, and once I had convinced him he could trust me, he had a rather major confession to make to me. Oh, really, Rooster? I had the feeling something was up with him, but I didn't know what it was until that night. So, I don't know how to really say this, but I've lived a pretty privileged life. I don't like where this is going. I get that. My parents were filthy rich, and they supported my passions fully. However, I ended up having to cut ties with them. Turns out they were doing some really shady stuff. They were using their influence to prop up legislation being passed in our city that I just couldn't get behind. It was entirely against my morals. But in a big fight, we got in a big fight, and well, I ended up it ended pretty poorly. In an instant, I was cut off from them. It was pretty rough. I had spent my entire life being able to do pretty much whatever I wanted when I wanted. And all of a sudden, I was completely cut from that control. Obviously, I got through it. Somewhat, that is. Work's still tough. It's unfortunate, living in such a low standard of living. And eventually, in another argument with them, I learned something. It wasn't actually my parents' fault. They didn't actually want to do what they were doing. No, it was all Amadeus Bowen's fault. Amadeus Bowen? You mean that man that... so you see where I'm going... you see where this is going. I looked more into it. I hired a private investigator, and it turns out that dude is a total sleazebag. I'm spotting in the details, but I think he's got a massive blackmail ring going on. I was already angry at him for being a douche to me when I was trying to get my work from him. But to learn that not only was he a huge villain, but he was responsible for my fall from heaven. I couldn't forgive him. I knew what I needed to do. So, to cut a long story short, I murdered him, and pinned it on somebody else entirely. Okay, so Monkey did not help Rooster with the murder, but he admitted it. You have to believe me though, I didn't intend for Aaron Morris to get executed. Yeah, I put a lot of evidence on him. How was I supposed to know that the body would be found so quickly? That there'd be such an airtight witness at the scene. I certainly didn't think they'd give the guy the death penalty for a single murder. That doesn't even seem like something you should be allowed to do as a judge, much less something you tend to do. I don't regret killing Amadeus Bowen. He was a scum that needed to be vanquished. Yeah, based on what I've heard, I can't condemn you for that. I mean, murder is still bad. But Aaron Morris, his soul weighs on mine. He clutches my heart and lingers behind me. Well, yeah, that is a murder you technically are responsible for. He knows what I did, and he reminds me that I can never be redeemed. I was already well aware of this case. Namely because I just received a client for one Brian Morris. Surely, this must be fate. It didn't take much to calm Rooster down, to reassure him he did nothing wrong. When he regained more suitable composure, he talked about things in more detail. He mentioned how he got a cut from Amadeus with a weird knife that he had smuggled out. About how he still keeps that knife buried to this day. He talked about how, after seeing the MasterCard from Amadeus at the bar, stealing from Amadeus at the bar, some gang member went up to him and straight up complimented him on the theft. He had been caught red-handed. So, Dragon, that's a facepalm at Dragon's part. He talked about how Aaron's son was convinced that the killer was still out there, that he was doing a dangerous amount of digging. He talked about how the artist who moved the body must have noticed things that were odd. Somehow they didn't come across come out in the police report, but there was no way the artist wouldn't have noticed the oddities. You talk about the sleepless nights knowing that if he would ever become a star, that people would be loose that these people would be loose ends and would never take his mind off. Loose ends that would reveal his sin. So why did you agree to help him? I mean, yeah, like, is it because he opened your eyes, quote unquote? It was then that I had the idea. Why not make use of my client's connection? Surely it would be a trifling task to convince someone as unstable as Brian into handling those loose ends himself. Luring someone so unstable into doing such a drastic action would force the police to publicly double down on Aaron's guilt, regardless of the truth. And hey, while we're at it, it could even use this opportunity to boost Rooster's popularity and make him a star as he always wanted to be. An event like this would certainly draw a lot of media attention, and it was the perfect starting place. So, like, I'm confused on why Monkey involved this at all, really. Rooster has motive, Brian was tricked into having motive. What motive do you actually have to help Rooster and trick Brian? A plan that truly killed many birds with a single stone. It took some time, but he soon went with the idea. After all, it was something. It was getting rid of a lunatic, an old man, and a criminal, and some criminal scum. Snake doesn't look that old. For my part, I viewed the situation more as a challenge for myself than anything else. So how's it going? Certainly, Brian is unstable enough and ambitious enough to get to be used. Empowering his traumas and feeding into his delusions was really procedural. The specific implementations of the plan, on the other hand, I fear about. What do you mean? The brat's really an odd duck. Well, that's not good. If you're a therapist and you refer to someone as a brat, regardless of how they've gone, you're not fit to be a therapist. Instead of typical hostage situation, he's coming up with these ideas about a trial, making it like a game, a test of people's characters. I mean, I've been trying to sway him to the right direction, but there's only so much I can do on that front. Ultimately, it has to be his idea. That's the whole point of this operation. That's the only way to get it right. So the plan's not working out? No, the plan can certainly work. It's just going to be a bit more delicate to get the outcome we want to occur, certainly. Cleanly, sorry. More time passed. How's the progress going? Well, things are definitely going forwards, one way or the other. I'm worried though, even if we take control of things, even with the two of us both in the building, will we be able to guide the group enough so that things work out all the way we want it? Even if we do, wouldn't it be a little obvious if we were the ones who made all the important decisions? Well, what are you suggesting? Why not take advantage of another client connection I found? Turns out the daughter of Aaron Marston's defense attorney has also been seeing me. Really? Small world. It really is. It really, really is, somehow. At any rate, I think we can use her. I've been curious for a while about hypnotherapy. After enough pestering, I got her to agree to it. You hypnotized us? As a matter of fact, it works quite nicely. With a set rhythm of 3 key phrases, I've got her becoming quite suggestible. Okay, so let me guess. It's gonna be something that you've actually said each time to us before we've had a choice. I'll continue the drill with this in all of our future meetings. By the time of the death game, I'm sure we'll be perfectly trained guinea pig. We'll be able to guide her down the path that suits us. It makes our moves a lot less explicit, less suspicious. Don't you think it's a little much, though? Like, is that all necessary? I would like to try it out. Ever since I had that idea, I couldn't stop thinking about the experiment. Oh no. Sorry. Thing popped up on my screen for a second. It was confusing. The idea of being to control another human being so directly, it filled me with an emotion that I'd never that I hadn't felt before. So, you want control? That's all. Self-reflecting, I could. I'll wager that something about my upbringing and trauma combined with my unique brain chemistry had combined to give me a disposition by being in control of others. Give me fetishistic pleasure. That's not a good sentence. That's speculation, though. I need to analyze my own psychosis a lot more before I could say anything definitive, and that seems to be a waste of time. I mean, if you think it's a good idea, it's kind of your enterprise and all. Brilliant. Of course, such an experiment would leave another loose end, so it'd probably be for the best to also sell that matter. Huh? Pay it no mind. From there, things went smoothly. Eventually, I got a full scope of what kind of game it would actually be. I shuffled through dozens of scenarios until I found one that would be the most reliable. Then, we went forward with the plan. I won't bore you with the details, Mouse. Mouse could probably theorize the bulk of them anyway. The point is, we put the plan into action, and words can't describe how exhilarating it felt, having control of so many lives at the push of a button. Watching everybody push themselves to the limit, playing out exactly how I planned it. Well, I guess not everything went according to plan. The dog was a pebble in my shoe. But even that, in its own way, was a type of fun I'd never experienced before. So basically, it sounds like you just Junko, really. I'm fully aware that there isn't a rational response to this sort of thing. Needless to say, I've developed several mental disorders which have morphed into my motivations quite entirely away from being those reasonable human would have. But just because I value different things doesn't make me value them any less. If anything, I learned a unique pleasure that the most could never experience. It's sad Rooster couldn't see it that way, because that's why you had to kill him. What the hell, Jay? I've been looking for a good opportunity to get a word with you. You did say you were looking for someone? Have you been intentionally avoiding me, save whispering the odd order to me? Perhaps. What is all of this? It's exactly what it looks like. Again, my setup. Why? What possible purpose could there be in this? And why do you have to kill Pig? How was that needed in any way? Rooster, you were the one who encouraged me so long ago to pursue my passions, were you not? This is simply that. Rooster, you may be smart, Rooster, but you're an idiot. Look, let me start from the beginning. Ethan, you remember that what dog showed? His name's Ethan. I mean, yeah, I guess I can see it, but like, I also can't see it at the same time. Dog showed us the other day now. Huh? He showed us that golden knife had a hidey hole. Seeing that, I figured out how you likely never knew about that. So I took it upon myself to find out the damning knife you hid. Check the hidey hole myself. And you know what I found? What? A flash drive. Flash drive filled with the brim of incredibly powerful blackmail material on the most influential people in the city, including the chief of police. Seriously? That's right. A gold mine of incalculable value sitting right under your nose this whole time. The fact that you never discovered it after all this time, well, perhaps that's to be expected. I've always had a habit of overrating your competence. Just calling him an idiot to his face. At any rate, whoever had this can basically run Hightower. So I'm assuming Hightower is basically the city's name. I know it's been mentioned several times, but I figured that Hightower was a specific like area within the city that wherever this is taking place. With this, I can do whatever I want. All of the police force, with those with influence, they'll all dance to my song now. Do you know what this means? It means freedom, right? What are you going to do with that? Whatever I want, I suppose. To start with, it'll be a standard things: money for the bigger house, for a better life, for the finer things. Living a life of luxury, it sounds nice, right? I've always wanted to try it out. And with complete financial freedom, I'll have time to try any number of passions. If none of them work out, well, there's a lot more this little flash dive will do. How far will a famous actor go to protect his secret? How dumb a law could I get past with my influence? With the police under my control, I could try solving some cases myself or creating them. So you're blackmailing Rooster now. The world's my oyster. That's technically true at this point, except you put yourself into a death game. I'll have to be careful, of course. There are quite a few opportunities for all of this to turn on its head, like right now. But I'm a clever girl, and anticipating those bad ends seems like fun in and of itself. You really going to do all of that? Maybe if I get bored. But who knows, maybe being wealthy is all that it's made out to be, and that'll satisfy me. We'll have to see. At any rate, I'm certain this flash dive could bring me true happiness. There's only one thing that can get in my way, and that's the people I gathered here. Snake, dragon, mouse, who knows what nonsense dog filled their heads with. Yep. Ox is a prosecutor with a surprisingly rigid sense of justice and a high work ethic. He definitely needs to go. Initially, I thought Bunny was easily compromisable. However, I recently learned that he's been making moves against dear Oliver. He certainly has to go. Oliver's the biggest card on my deck. Pig's a desperate journalist, eager to get any scoop of news. She came too close to uncovering things before she could easily do it again. Tiger's too dumb to be predictable. Wow. Okay, Tiger, go get her. Who knows what she'll do? She has the fame and riches and the forces to contend with. Horses a complete unknown. If he gets a whiff of the truth, he could very well come and kill me himself. I mean, yeah, horses pretty mysterious, and sheep. Well, to be honest, sheep could probably be left alone. And you know, it'd be odd to just leave her out of at this point. All of them have first-hand experience with the first death game, with Dog, with the initial trial, with a lot of things. Okay, so all of us except sheep technically are a target, but the fact that sheep's the only survivor would be too odd for Monkey, so Monkey's killing all of us. Oops. None of them at this point are easily controllable. Because you did it twice. You told me to deal with the loose ends Dog provided. Simply put, if we're dealing with loose ends, that's what I call this whole. That's what I'd call the whole lot of them. But to kill all of them. And okay, putting aside all of that, sure. Let's say you have to kill them all. Why would you do it like this? What's with the whole death game setup? How do you expect to get away with this? Honestly, the idea of someone inspired by Brian holding out a death game in his honor is a far much more believable story than anyone being individually killed at roughly the same time. I suppose, yeah. I'm sure Ollie could find a suitable patsy to pin it all on. But why actually run the death game? Last time we had to do it so that it matched with Brian's description, and so that the other survivors would be witnesses on our side. If the plan's to clean up the witnesses, you should just blow them all up now and be done with it. Yeah, I'd still say if we do Rooster's plan, keep Sheep alive, because then Sheep's obviously an innocent witness who's not like guilty to link with you. Where's the fun in that? Fun? There's no fun in murder. You say as you've killed before. Why not? No, seriously, think about it. The survivors of the past death game are back, faced with a new mysterious foe and new challenges to face. See, this is the sequels. With chaotic cards and a traitor lurking, will they be band together or crumple under the pressure? Doesn't this sound like a cool movie? This isn't a movie. Oh, I hate that. Monkey made me think it was Rooster. I mean, he's still guilty, but he's not guilty this time. And I thought it was a movie. I thought it was set up for a movie. Oh god. So I definitely would have been controllable. The fact that you think there's such a difference saddens me. Besides, worst comes to worst, I'd just explode them all and be done with it. Really, the matter's already settled. Does it really matter if I play it with my food for a bit? Of course it does. Of course it matters. Oh yeah, Rooster didn't explode, did he? Because, yeah. It matters because it's wrong. Wrong? Ethan. You continue to disappoint me in so many different ways. I must say, our time together was impactful. However, I far overestimate how much we were alike. I believe you've outlived your shelf life. And if you're going to, if I'm going to be gaining true freedom, I suppose I need. That includes doing away with you as well, right? Hold on a minute. What are you doing with that book? Honestly, for Rooster not running away, it's his own fault, really. That's like, so he's 2/3 of the idiot. One part. Actually, like a decent, competent murderer. That's what happened. I believe that should answer the majority of your questions with the incident. However, if you have more to say to me, please do make yourself be heard. Do make yourself heard. That couldn't be right. I was, hell, basically brainwashed. There's no way. So, if we were basically brainwashed, doesn't that mean she wanted us to figure out things? There's just no way, right? You're crazy, lady. Indeed. How on earth could someone like this exist? It doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't make sense, Tiger. It doesn't. How do you live with yourself? I already explained how I feel emotions to a far less substance degree than the rest of you, right? You save it. It's not worth wasting breath arguing with the reprehensible trash. Completely unforgivable. Oh, don't curse me so thoroughly. It's not my fault. How can you say that with a straight face? This is simply how it always meant to be. Huh? Didn't you know, Ox? The world is fated. Your genes and history were decided without your input, and like it or not, those two factors really make the decisions. From birth, it was 100% certain that I would grow up to be like this. I have no real say in the matter. No, because you met Rooster by chance. If you didn't meet Rooster, Rooster would have still killed Amadeus Bowen, yes, but he wouldn't have came to you. Brian wouldn't have been tricked into making the death game. So yeah, maybe Rooster would be in jail and you'd be sad for life, but I have no real say in the matter. If you had to curse me, curse anyone, curse God for the hand he dealt you all. You're saying like that you have no real control over your actions. Not in the grand sense, no. Then I have to ask how you're getting any pleasure from controlling us in these death games. By your own logic. You still really aren't in control, God is. Thank you, Snake. Thank you, Snake. See, this is why Snake's fun. This is why I think Snake is probably my favorite character. Horse taking second place. Because Horse asking for a drink it's just one of those simple moments that just make him great. But yeah, Snake's always been witty and you know, pretty. For the first time, it looked like Monkey was caught off guard. At any rate, we are really facing an issue. You've got your hands on Amadeus' blackmail flash drive, yes? So this incident isn't ending here. With your taste for blood awakened, and with the city safely in your pocket, you intend to continue playing with innocent people's lives until you eventually caught or killed. Oh, don't judge me so quick. Too quick, Snake. Like I said, I plan to start with some nice, peaceful living. But you know, we'll see. They say being rich doesn't make you happy after all. We can't let that happen, but I'm afraid you must. It'd be a shame that this game is going to have such an abrupt ending, but I guess the risk that's the risk you take when you try to get clever and act as one of the participants. Believe me, that is a mistake I won't make again. Yeah, sit back and and watch it like a movie. But for now, don't despair. I can just execute a lot of you here and now. I'll also allow any of you to join me, become one of my helpers. One of. Horse probably is going to do it because Horse doesn't want to die. She probably is too scared to disagree. Everyone else is going to fight. Snake is not going to say he's opposed to it, but he's not going to outright say, I'll do it. So Horse and Sheep are the two I'm expecting to consider it. After all, the more of you that make it out of here alive, the easier my job will be to explain all this. You. Horse stood up. To the side, Snake whispered something to Dragon. You think you can just do whatever you want, consequences to be damned? You think I wouldn't give my life to slay a monster like you? Yes, I just said you wouldn't. If you think that, you truly can predict nothing. Horse rushed forward, swung his fist at Monkey. Monkey didn't panic, however. Instead, out of a sleeve came a long metal rod. The rod intercepted Horse's swing, and so a stun baton. Sound of Horse's cry and the crackling of electricity rang through the classroom. Oh, don't worry, Horse. Your little temper tantrum was well accounted for. Go for a Horse. You're not supposed to hate people, but, you know, this time you can make an exception. But are you sure you want to kill me? Isn't there someone else who should be handling this? Horse faltered, looking around. But then he grinned. No, I think I can do this one myself. Immediately, Horse slammed his fist down, aiming at Monkey's head. There we go, Night Devil not this time. Go for it, Manuel. Rooster's name's Ethan. That's both. It makes sense, but doesn't agree with me. Like it goes either way. He didn't hit Monkey's head, however. He hit Monkey's steak knife, which she pulled out from seemingly nowhere. Horse recoiled. Monkey quickly pulled the knife out. Horse's arm, moving forward, and slashed him across the gut twice. Horse rolled off kilter and collapsed backwards onto the ground. Even the attacks you choose to use entirely expected. But then again, am I surprised? You were a pawn, the piece with the fewest number of moves available to them. Yes, but the most number of pieces, and the most powerful once it gets to the enemy side of the board. So, Monkey then took out a phone from my pocket. I think a few others might want to try start acting irrationally. If you value your lives, I will refrain from using such violence. Don't forget who controls your lives. With a confident smile, Monkey walked out of the classroom. Many people wanted to stop her, but her attention was diverted as Sheep ran to Horse. Hey, hold on. You keep him alive, okay? Everyone else will stop Monkey. She took off a sweater and using it to address Horse's wound. She looked over to him, with a grim decision. Don't worry, the wounds weren't fatal. You will take care of Monkey. I'll make sure horse falls through this. Thank you, Sheep. Very nice. And Sheep moves accordingly as well. Apparently, Monkey hadn't fully left. Rather, she was simply standing outside the classroom. Using this injury to cowardly excuse herself from the responsibility of dealing with the threat. No, I think she's just doing it because, you know, she actually genuinely believes she's nice. But either way, I think, yes, she was predictable. Still, that still leaves, what, 6 of us to deal with you? 3 are dead. 2 are, hunting you down, and 2 are unaccounted for because they're staying to heal. So it's 6 versus 1. Snake has a plan, which obviously is probably accounted for. So we need to do something we're not accounted for, which would be us to do nothing. It would be for Snake to be violent, really. Snake to be violent, and then, or to be a distraction, I guess. For Dragon to be a distraction. But then again, perhaps she couldn't handle failing to properly address someone's wounds again. Enraged, she pulled a pen from her pocket and wildly flung a Monkey. Monkey called with a calm look on her face and began to walk away. The group went after her, though nobody seemed to know what the game plan was. It's literally just fighting June going and the humor at this point. Still, we stood all at the hallway looking at her. She stood back at us, waiting patiently, holding up a phone in the air. Fingers circled around the button that I couldn't read from here. I guess what it meant though. At first step forward was Snake. I'm not sure if your offer is genuine, Monkey. Of course it is. Then I'd happily join you. So first I failed, but this is a distraction, isn't it, Snake? Snake? Forgive me, Mouse, but it's not like I have much of a choice in the matter. Our options are limited, and so I know now stand with the power. Now stand with the powerful. Besides, helping her with this blackmail job could be quite interesting. Done right, there could be a beauty in these experiments. I have some editorial notes on how in the future you could and he explodes. That does a Snake. Enraged, Dragon stepped forward. Without a second thought, she swung her metal bat at one of Snake's back legs. Yeah, so this is the plan. I knew you were selfish, but I never saw this in you. Maybe I couldn't hurt Monkey, but I can sure as hell set an example to potential traitors. Yep. Dragon stepped down on Snake's left hand, and then swung the bat down his left arm. I heard the sound of bones crack. Everyone, look at this. This is what happens when you sell your soul to the devil. In a rage, she swung hard at Snake's right side. Again, the bat heavily impacted Snake's right arm. Snake fell to all fours. In a beautiful flow, however, Dragon immediately spun around and changed the target from Snake to Monkey's left arm, the one holding the phone. In response, Monkey jabbed Dragon in the stomach with a cattle prod, sending flying, a back landing on the floor. Crap. Dragon, you absolute moron. I was obviously going to betray her. What? Oh, so it wasn't so she wasn't aware of the plan. My. What a comedy of errors. I'd be laughing if it wasn't entirely what I thought would happen. Snake would inauthentically plot to get me on my good side, intending to be on my betrayal. Dragon would act first, think later. Yep, that seems to be what's happening, really. Or what has happened, really. So, yeah. But her eyes would never really leave me. If she's just looking at for a time to strike at me, okay. Well, that's, you know, it's... And to think I had you to pay for some of the most unpredictable, and you cut off. So what's happening? Is it going to be Ox? Is it going to... Just then Snake lunged from his position. So while it's still Snake's plan still. Okay. His right hand grabbed the phone, so good going. This was the plan all along. Monkey, caught off guard, tried to pull back, but the phone was sent sliding across the floor. Dragon, still lying on her back, grabbed her bat and smashed the phone onto the floor. How did that not kill us all? Gotcha. This is... At our school, we were recently had a stage performer come in. I picked up some lessons on acting out of fight quite quickly. Snake smirked, but as he winced, it was clear that Dragon had indeed broken his left arm. This was, yeah, see? So it was a distraction. Does that mean I'm technically more... Does that mean I can predict better than Monkey can? Monkey's entire face, on the other hand, was entirely flustered. She immediately started twiddling her thumbs as I sped at the speed I'd never seen before while closing her eyes. It looked like she was muttering something under her breath. Just a few seconds later, she regained her composure. I've amended my predictions, so that just means you couldn't predict it the first time. That's literally just proving you're terrible at this. I'm still fine. No, you're not. It's simply a matter of forgoing the phone and using the computer. In an instant, I realized what she meant. She's going to try and get to the base where she's running the game. However, as I shouted it, this monkey reached under his sweatshirt and with a bit of difficulty pulled out a metallic stick. I just realized that it was part of the contraption strapped to her chest. But Monkey was able to undo the pieces from her bomb. Wait, these were bombs strapped to our chests. As I realized what this meant, Monkey put the switch on the cylinder and threw it up to the ceiling. And she immediately began to run down the hall. We started to follow her, but we were pushed back by an immediate explosion that occurred as the cylinder hit the ceiling. It was a pretty minor explosion, all things considered, definitely not at the full force of the blast that could incinerate our chests at any moment. But it was enough to do a number on the building's structural integrity. The ceiling began to collapse when... Oh no, Tiger, really? Tiger leaped in front of us and held over her arms. She began to shield us from the debris that began to fall. Hurry, go through here. We didn't need to be told twice, so Ox, Bunny, and I ran. So it's the final four. Final three, I can't count clearly. Ran forward in some place, attempting to prevent the entire building from coming down on itself. I was grateful that for what she did, but I didn't have time to give thanks. I was sprinting towards Monkey at full speed, and Bunny and Ox at my side. She probably predicted we'd be the final three. Bunny, you're gonna go down next, then it's gonna be Ox, then it's gonna be us, then it's gonna be Ox again. That's my guess. It could possibly be Bunny instead of Ox at the last one, but yeah. If she was able to get to wherever she had kept the computer running this before we caught up to her. No, I couldn't think about that. Besides, we were gaining on her. As much as Monkey could predict, she could think herself into running quicker. Up ahead, Monkey took a hard right, turning the corner there where the staircase to the second floor was. Why was she? Immediately, my mind flashed back to the library. Other than the two doors to enter it, there are two doors in the back with an exit sign. She must be aiming for that door to leave the building. I followed her. Bunny had taken the lead, and he was the first to begin turning the corner, which is why he was the one who caught hold of the cattle prod as Monkey leaps out to ambush him. So yep, Bunny down first. To Bunny's credit though, he didn't immediately pass out. he was actually he actually caught the prod. And then, in my utter shock, he gripped it so hard to break it off. I heard that cops need to pass a pain tolerance test before they can get their taser. But it was something different. However, it's not like Bunny was Superman. In doing this feat, Bunny immediately wordlessly fell back on his back. Thank you, Bunny. Salute to you, sir. Naturally, you'd be the quickest out of the three. That's the most troublesome one handled. And without another word, Monkey resumed his sprint up the staircase. And through this ambush, Ox and I had all but caught up to her. We made our way to the double-layered staircase and prepared to run down the hallway. However, once again, as Ox turned left, I heard Corner Monkey jumped out, plunging her steak knife in his. I read it as a plunger, plunging her steak knife in his chest. Ox didn't have nearly the instincts that Bunny had. He took the blow squarely in the chest and stumbled down the stairs in his chest. And you, the smart one, fell for the exact same trick. There really isn't any difference between a cop and a prosecutor. That just means you're proving Tiger right. Again, Monkey calmly resumed running away. Ox, I'm fine, Mouse. She just got me in the side. More importantly, go after her. Right. Of course. Why'd I even stop to check if he was fine? I was the last one left. I couldn't pull my weight. We all had, or we'd all be dead soon enough. I ran faster than I had ever run before. Like I thought, Monkey entered the library, and I went right after her. There in the library, Monkey turned around towards me, catching her breath. I slowed down to catch my breath. Please, Monkey, you don't have to do this. You're right, I don't. She's gonna do it anyway. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Monkey threw a jab at my head. I was so blindsided by this, I caught the punch squarely to the face. I stumbled back into the wall. Tiger sacrificed herself in the explosion to let Mouse, Ox, and Bunny through. Sacrificed the cattle rod to get rid of Bunny. Sacrificed the steak knife to get rid of Ox. In the end, Mouse alone will catch up to me. You're not. These aren't predictions if you say them after they've happened. But you won't be able to stop me from walking out the door to the nearby computer and entering a few simple keystrokes. I already told you, Mouse, I redid the calculations. No, you're just narrating what you've done. There's a difference. This is a solved game. Your team loses. That could be the case. I feel like no matter what we do, there's going to be an ending where, like, oh no, haha, I saw this coming. I don't think that, see, ignore. And then you save. I want to go for a punch. I took a moment to see myself. Then I rushed out my fist clench. I planned on going for a simple uppercut. Before I could even get in range, Monkey moved towards me. She kicked me right in the gut, stopping my progress. Come now, Mouse. I was able to handle horse in a fight. You think I couldn't handle you? I'll admit, without any weaponry, I probably couldn't handle someone like Bunny or Ox, or even Ox. But you're even weaker than me. No, there had to be something. I'll challenge you to a game then. Let's settle this fairly. Oh? You think you're so good at predicting things? Then why don't you try and prove that? One final game, you versus me, when it takes all. Sorry. I'm excellent at predicting things, Mouse. Which is why I knew you'd propose something desperate like this. Something, anything? Throwing a stable at her. I wasn't done yet. I'd noticed a stable nearby the desk. In a clean motion, I leaned over, clutched the object in my fist and flung it at the monkey at full speed. She leisurely swayed to the side, letting it harmlessly fly out the way. Is that really the best you can manage? You're really running out of choices, aren't you? Of course we are. Don't worry. You won't have to make them very soon. fell to my knees. Despair was filling my body. There was nothing I could do. Then it's gonna be like a dead dog. Woohoo! I'm alive. Monkey looked at me with a look of akin to pity. Oh, Mouse, don't look at like that. Also, you addressed Rooster as Ethan, but you're not. You've only referred to us as Mary once. It's not your fault. You're really a remarkable woman, truly. Given your situation, you far exceeded what most would be able to do. But the fact, humans have their limits. That's looking at me. You seem to be struggling, panicking, thinking that if you did or said the right thing, you could win. But that's not how things work. There are times in life that none of the options can bring you victory. Just accept that this is one of those times. Keep cool. You know, it really is a shame to get rid of you, Mouse. I had a lot of fun controlling you. And in some weird way, it was even more fun when you acted out of line. You were a wonderful puppet. But I plan on living free. And you're just too much of a liability. Monkey began to turn away. You can't. You're not going to get away with this. There's some way to stop you. It'd be nice for you if there was, right? But I already thought it through. This chessboard, I picked each piece very delicately. I crafted the spaces myself. So you're the one who's playing against Snake. There's nothing here that's going to defy my expectations. If nothing defies my expectations, then I can certainly control the outcome of the game. Just face it. And I'm in control of everything here. You're in control of nothing. Because I have control, I'm going to choose to murder you all. God damn it. I refuse to be rescued by you. I'd rather Monkey win. And nothing expected is going to pop up and save you. You can only explicitly taunt fate so much until the world decides to whack you on the back of the head. In this case, the whack came from Rooster. No, he's not the hero of the story. No, we're not doing this. To my complete surprise, he'd woken up from his stupor a bit ago. Monkey had made the classic mistake of monologuing for too long. While she did that, Rooster gained his footing. He did not look okay at all. As though he was possessed, he rushed at Monkey and slammed her into the wall. Before Monkey could cry out more, Rooster's hand wrapped around her throat. What are you... This must end. So, stop. This must end. With an unparalleled rage in his eyes, Rooster choked up Monkey's neck harder and harder. Honestly, the fact that it's the weird mentality that he's stopping the mastermind, so murder's okay, sort of thing. And that's kind of bad mentality. And it makes it hard to say to want either one of them to win. A number of emotions went through Monkey's eyes. Confusion, then fear, then depression, then desperation, and finally acceptance. What did I do during this? Nothing. I just stood there watching. Finally, Monkey's eyes remained open, but they saw nothing. Rooster let go of her, letting her corpse flop to the floor. What? Letting her corpse flop to the corpse. Nice. The second person he had killed. The second person he had ever strangled. Then he turned to me. He looked at me right in the eye. He gave me a look of... how to describe it? I can't think of the right emotion. But it was the equivalent of a sad shrug. An apology. A grim acceptance. Oh, what can you do? Yeah, that's fair for him. But also, like, I'm not happy about this. It was right that we wouldn't, we wouldn't be able to stop Monkey. Someone else was. It was just neither Octobunny. And then, without a ceremony, Rooster collapsed to the ground. He was far, far from recovered. The fact that he gotten up in the first place was a 1 in a million miracle. the type that no man can predict. The sort of thing God sends now and again just to keep us all humble. Absent-mindedly, I walked to the front, walked to the door Monkey was running to. I opened it, and there was finally, for the first time in a long time, freedom. I wasn't moments away from dying. I could almost cry, but not yet. I looked over and saw a picnic table nearby. The door apparently led to school's backyard. On the picnic table there were a number of things. A particular note, and there was a laptop. If the notes say, "I will die by Rooster's hand," after everyone gives chase to me, then I'm quitting the game. And that was probably what was running this whole thing. It was something that caught my eye even more. Small orange USB flash drive sitting right next to the computer. This was it, wasn't it? Amadeus' legacy. The root of it all. I picked the flash drive up, held the holy grenade in my hands. Now, I'm pocketing it, personally. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save and see what's on there. Let us save, please. Thank you. I'm pocketing it. I slipped into the flash drive into my pocket. For now, it was better off with me. And just like that, it was over. Fair enough, destroy it, then no one's got a thingy, but yeah. I guess, in that sense, I'm kind of curious, like Monkey was. I contacted the authorities, and they arrived at the scene right away. In the meantime, I stood there in the open air, finally free. To put it mildly, I had a lot of thoughts about everything that had happened. It was reasonable to say that I'd never be able to do the same after all this. I'd definitely need a new therapist, because she's dead. Because, boy howdy, was there a lot of stuff to work through in all this. But I'd move on. How can you? Because unlike Dog and Pig, I could. Unlike Amadeus and Aaron, and Brian and Rooster and Monkey, my life didn't have to be defined by my incident. It'd take me a bit of doing to get over it all, certainly. Naturally, the media would eat up this incident, but I'd be all over the news. In the likelihood, I never truly shed the skin of this incident. Because the fact of the matter is that you can never really truly erase the past. Yes, you gotta. That's what we said to sheep. You gotta live. You gotta. The past defies what you are. But I didn't need to. It didn't need to be defined by it. I could go on and become the greatest defense lawyer the world has ever seen. I could be angered by the incident, shake my fist at injustice, and turn into a prosecutor. I could become a famous author writing about what had happened and other topics. I could get really into a horse riding and become a professional jockey. Or I could just jump off of a building one day. But whatever happened, I was free to choose it. I was in control from there. And that was what really mattered. Many weeks later. Oh, hey. Nice place you have here. Isn't it? It isn't. Nice of you to stop by, Ox. I wasn't sure if I'd see you again. So it's been like at least 2 months from the first game, from the first death game, and we're still using animal nicknames. I don't know why you wouldn't. We did sort of go through a lot. Also, you're really going to still call me Ox even now? Think of it as a nickname. Okay, fair enough. Saying it's a nickname, I completely withdraw my previous complaints. If it's a nickname, fair enough. I think it was a reminder of a pretty thorough traumatic experience. You always did look on the downside. Anyways, what brings you here? There's no reason in particular. Just had some time off and I wanted to see how you were holding up. After the dust had really started to settle in. I'm living, found myself a new therapist. Hopefully this one doesn't try to slowly brainwash me over time. That's the goal, isn't it? So how about you? Quitting the whole prosecuting rancor? How bold, indeed. Oh, so you're no longer... Oh well, that's unfortunate. I can't say I feel particularly confident in my choice right about now. However, after reflecting a bit on this whole thing, I can't help but feel my time has been misplaced. I want to make the world a better place, but I might need to think a bit harder about how exactly I plan to going about doing that. Well, good for you. Have you figured out what you want to do now? I'm not sure. Something befitting of my skill set, surely. Be a detective. You were pretty good. Work with Bunny. He needs a partner to take over Bowen. Anyways, you didn't hear the news regarding Rooster, right? Yeah, he finally woke up, didn't he? So he was in hospital for that long. Honestly, after spending so long in intensive care, I thought he was a goner. Totally. I can't believe that botched job we cobbled together actually ended up saving him. You can never underestimate the human spirit. Good for Rooster for surviving. Way to go, buddy. You did it. Oh, Ken. Way to go, Rooster. Way to go, Ethan. You can't. He's going to jail for probably the rest of his entire life. You deserve that, Ethan. The case against him at present is actually surprisingly tenuous, should he not confess. But yes, I would still wager not a long imprisonment. I would wager on a long imprisonment for him. That's probably for the best. Still, I can't say I don't feel at least a little bad for him. Yeah, he did save everyone. You do? I mean, he did end up saving us when all is said and done, and he probably just. He was probably just manipulated into being party to the whole thing as Brian was, I suppose. Still, I wouldn't shed a tear if he had not recovered. I'm not that against Rooster. He is. The funeral date for Dog and Pig will be set. Being set. It's still being set. Oh, and they were the last. They were the last two introduced, and the only two to die. It's been a while. I think it's nice that Pig's online popularity is sort of surging post-mortem. I mean, it kind of seems like hollow consolation, but you know, it's not nothing. I'm sure Pig would have appreciated that. As I'm sure Dog would have appreciated the media's silence on this whole part in any of this. He probably would have. Did you hear about Tiger? I heard she got arrested for assaulting a dude. Oh, Tiger! What? Tiger? It's a horror. Yeah, I heard about that incident. Most unfortunate. With her riches, the fact that she is very clearly being seriously affected by the past trauma, I could imagine that it'd be a life sentence for her. In the long run, this could be a good thing for her. She'd likely end up getting help that she needed. Go get anger issues talking out, I suppose. I also heard some news about Sheep. Sheep, please say you've got your own enterprise. You're the business lady of a conglomerate. Do tell. After this whole incident, she packed up everything and moved back with her parents in her hometown. Seriously? I guess they were worried about it after she got kidnapped twice, so yeah, yeah. A reasonable reaction, yeah. I would hope it worked out for that. What about Horse? What about his adopted daughter? Yeah, I do too. Though I doubt it, huh? In my experience, people moving back in with their parents at that age is rarely a good sign. Yeah, I guess. But we shall see. At any rate, I heard about Bunny get a promotion. Oh yeah, so did I. Since I still incriminating flash drive, it's been difficult to prove much regarding the whole police situation. Didn't he revolutionize the police force or something? Yes, unbeknownst to Oliver, it appears Bunny had been spending his time gathering confidants who are sick of the current system. In a rather radical turn of events, a whole bunch of evidence has come to light, which has put Bowen and many other high-ranking officials under great scrutiny. Way to go, Bunny! All because I was too curious to destroy blackmail material. They've lost their jobs, and the federal court is considering pressing charges. In the meantime, Bunny and the others have become the acting police force in Hightower. Huh. Good for Bunny, I guess. He strikes me as the type who plot uprising like that. In a shocking twist, it sounds like as though Horse will be joining Bunny. What? Yeah, apparently he decided to quit his job as a construction worker and will be training to become a police officer. I'm actually, yeah though, I'm round of applause to Horse for that one. I mean, literally, you physically cannot beat him at any physical thing, so I feel like he would be the best cleaning up the street. So yeah, that's everyone, right? No, there's Dragon and Snake still. Still something about a more stable income for his adopted daughter. You know, I think Horse being a police officer is kind of fitting. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, I can see it. Citizens can sleep safely knowing that Bunny and Horse will be watching over them at night. That's... You don't want to... I mean, maybe his adopted daughter, but like... You don't want to watch someone that size staring at you, glaring at the side of your bed as you're trying to sleep. If we're really going to get the full recap on everybody, I suppose I'd be remiss in not mentioning Dragon. You would be. Apparently, she reformed a gang into a group of aim to protect and uplift the community. Oh crap! Indeed. I suppose the Dance of Death has made Dragon turn an altruistic heel. Naturally, such a drastic reform to the group has met with a lot of backlash. A lot of people are quitting other gangs he could take advantage of power vacuum and the like, but that was always to be expected. For the most part, it seems like Dragon's been keeping things together. Good for you, Dragon. Yeah. So feel sorry for Pig, Dog, unfortunately Rooster, and Sheep. But interested in Ox's choice. Proud of Bunny and Horse. And Dragon. Time to talk about Sheep, I guess. Spent a lot of time in prison with her. I'm glad to see she's using her charisma for good. Indeed, she's even collaborating with Snake. You're kidding. I'm dead serious. Snake apparently rekindled his love for teaching through this. I spoke with him. He says that after everything was said and done, he realized that things would be... that things would last after he's gone and not any of his art. He realised that things that would last after he was gone was not any of his artwork, but his influence on the younger generation. Put in that way, it'd be simply immoral to waste time dilly-dallying about nothing much of substance, no? That sounds like Snake, alright. In this aim, he's been part of the community outreach program aimed to helping high school dropouts turn their life back around. Pretty saintly idea, if I've ever heard one. You're telling me? Right on, so that's 4 good, 4 bad, us 2. Is it 4 good, 4 good, bad? Right. Pig, Dog, Sheep, and Rooster. 4 people I feel bad for. Ox is in the middle. I guess also Monkey's in the middle. And then it's... Yeah, okay, there we go. It was Ox and... it was Monkey... Monkey and Ox, that was confusing me. No, I'm still missing someone, aren't I? Who am I missing? I don't know. That was all said. Taken. Same house. Yes. Have you ever bothered at all about what Monkey was talking about back then? You're gonna have to be a bit more specific there. The lady said a lot of crazy stuff. I'm talking about her whole spiel about how the worlds are predestined and everything. I've been thinking about it ever since, and she raises a point, you know. No, she doesn't. In a very specific avenue, I mean. It's just, I don't know how to refute it. Nope, Snake refuted it. Don't do this, Ox. Ox, have you ever heard of playing your outs? This is what Snake told us in a timeline. I heard it from Snake when we were imprisoned with dogs. Basically, the idea is that there's a situation where you can always win or always lose, you ignore it. After all, your decision doesn't matter in those scenarios. Instead, you focus on the situation where your choice can change things. I think it's pretty applicable here. How so? Perhaps predetermination is real. Who cares? If that's the case, then whatever. But if it's not, then think about it. How ridiculous would it be to use predetermination as a crutch? Just imagine failing to win a race and then claiming that you never could have won the race because it was predestined. I mean, that's what we call rigged, right? It's laughable, right? When you put it like that. I think it's important to keep in mind that everything has their own circumstances that made people the way they are. And that but sometimes things happen without much of a good reason. Coincidence. It's all fine and good. But beyond that, the only use I can see for thinking about that type of stuff is just making yourself depressed. Kind of, yeah. I don't know if I have true free will or whatever, but I know what I'm experiencing in my life. I know that the choices I make are what will make my life better or worse. Yeah, enjoy the moment, sort of thing. And that's what really, all that matters to me. So it's kind of a dismissive way to thinking about it, though. Is that so wrong? Who's to say? I am. Then it isn't so wrong. Exactly. Voice cracks. Standing here, my eyes wandered through the stolen USB, still sitting on my desk. Evidently, so did Ox. Is that? It is. I would have lied. I would say it's not. It's just homework. I figured. I knew you took it when I realised it wasn't recorded at the scene. So what are you going to do with it? Why'd you take it? Are you going to publish it online for all the world to see? Or are you just going to put it to your own users, blackmailing people like Amadeus did in the past? Or are you just going to start by looking through it and decide from there? Truthfully speaking, I don't know why I grabbed the USB drive. I do. I just figured that turning it in would be a mistake, and I didn't want its secrets to vanish into the ether forever. Flash drive represented opportunity, possibility. With it, I could do so many things. I could have be benevolent reliever of the truth, and or a devilish mastermind just like Bowen. Who deserved to be outed? What secrets should stay a secret? I needed to decide all that myself. They were important questions. But I was the one who'd be in control of answering them. And that was the most important thing. The Black Joker. There are infinite ways for the universe to live. This is merely one. No man has a set path that he must walk. But in the end, we almost make a choice of which. Lane Hawkins. You did a good job, sir. Oh, madam. Felicia M. It's bright artist. You people, I should say. Suyu, Tia Novelita, and... sorry. I apologize, I'm not the best at reading, so I can't read all these names. Daria Greenberg Music, and Dead Seed. Playtesters Mako Duo, Question for Phones, Jigs, Destiny Shiva. To all of you who worked on this was pretty good. I think, oh yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah. I enjoyed that. The interview room, oh, I'm missing two. You know what? I'm gonna find out how to get the other two interview rooms, and then I'll do all of them in one video. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you had fun. This was a great story for me, I think. But with that, yeah, I'll see you for the end. Goodbye.